What if I told you that the most amazing Hollywood comeback of the last 10 years didn't even happen in Hollywood? And what if I also told you that Johnny Depp, the man so many people thought was done, canceled, or left out, made his biggest comeback thousands of miles away in the middle of Tokyo? It sounds crazy at first, but when you start looking a little closer, the whole story becomes something much bigger than just a simple movie event or a fan meeting. It's touching, it's personal, and honestly, it might be one of the most special chapters Johnny Depp has ever made for himself. A lot of people have been watching his ups and downs over the years, the court fights, the stories, the sadness, the quiet times, the slow, careful return. Some people watch the story happen on social media, others through the news, and many because they were curious. But no matter how you heard about it, you're definitely not alone. Millions of people have been trying to understand what happened to him, what he went through, and why his return feels so different from the usual Hollywood comebacks. And that's where Japan comes into the picture, because Depp didn't just show up in Tokyo for a normal film event. He wasn't there just to shake hands, walk a red carpet, wave to fans, and leave. Something about this trip felt special, like a quiet message to the world. You can even see it in his face if you watch his interviews or fan videos from Tokyo. There's a gentleness. There's a kind of peace, maybe even relief, like he had walked into a place where he didn't have to pretend, act, defend himself, or carry the weight of his past. Tokyo didn't just welcome him. It hugged him gently, warmly, respectfully. And that's exactly why this moment matters. Johnny Depp never wanted a loud, explosive, dramatic return to the spotlight. He didn't want an over-the-top Hollywood style comeback tour filled with big speeches or fancy PR campaigns. He didn't want to shout, "I'm back" to the world. Instead, he chose something different, something softer, something almost spiritual. He wanted a place where he could breathe again, think again, create again, and simply be himself. That place, surprisingly or maybe not so surprisingly, was Japan. People sometimes forget that Japan has always loved pure artistry more than gossip. They don't care about drama the way Hollywood sometimes does. They don't chase scandals. They don't punish weakness. They value hard work, discipline, starting over, humility, and change. Qualities Depp has been forced to build during some of the most painful years of his life. So when he walked into Tokyo for the Modi premiere, the feeling around him felt completely different from what we usually see in the West. It wasn't noisy, chaos. It wasn't tense or awkward. It wasn't people trying to grab him, criticize him, or push microphones into his face for a controversial quote. It was calm, organized, heartfelt. Fans smiled softly. They bowed. They welcomed him like a warrior who had survived a long, tiring war and deserved a peaceful homecoming. For a man who spent years being torn apart in the headlines, laughed at, online, doubted by strangers, and judged by an industry he gave his whole life to, that kind of welcome hits in a way most of us can't fully understand. But it wasn't just the fans who made Tokyo feel different. Japan has been special to Depp for a long time. He has said in interviews over the years that he feels a unique sense of peace. There's a calmness he rarely finds anywhere else. In Japan, he can walk into a music store and look at guitars without being surrounded. He can sit quietly in a cafe without cameras flashing every few seconds. He can walk the streets, look at the city lights, drink tea in a small shop, or blend into the crowd like a regular human being rather than a Hollywood headline. And maybe that's the real heart of this story. Japan lets him be Johnny, not the celebrity, not the controversy, not the court case, not the character, just Johnny. Now, here's where the story gets even more interesting. Japan supported him quietly during moments when Hollywood didn't know what to do with him, while studios hesitated. Japan didn't distance itself. Fans still wrote letters. Brands still invited him. There was no panic about losing image or reputation. Instead, there was patience, respect, a kind of loyalty that isn't loud but is incredibly powerful. And because of that, many people are now realizing something important. Depp's comeback didn't start in America. It started in Europe and Asia. The Modi project itself is a perfect example. It's not a flashy blockbuster. It's not a big-budget Hollywood machine. It's an artistic film with emotional depth, pain, strength, and starting over. Exactly what Depp has been experiencing in real life. So when he chose Tokyo as one of his major stops, it wasn't just a promotional trip. It wasn't an obligation. It was a message, a quiet but powerful message that says, I don't need Hollywood's approval to rise again. I can rebuild my life anywhere I choose. I can start fresh where people see me as a human being, not a headline. And honestly, that message hit the internet harder than anyone expected. His Tokyo appearance went viral almost instantly. People from all over the world saw him, smiling, greeting fans, talking kindly and looking healthier and happier. They saw a man who had been broken, rebuilding himself far away from the noise that once swallowed him whole. The reaction wasn't just about celebrity gossip. It was emotional. People felt connected to him again. They felt protective. They felt proud. Some even said it finally felt like the real Johnny had returned after years of being hidden behind pain and chaos. Now, let's talk about some of the lesser-known details that make this entire story even richer. Insiders have shared that Depp personally asked for Tokyo as a major stop on his Modi tour, not because it was the biggest market, but because he wanted to honor the people who supported him without asking for anything in return. He wanted to show thanks to a country that stood by him when the world was unsure. A Japanese reporter also mentioned that Depp has been quietly working on deeper artistic projects in Japan, not just film-related but musical and possibly even tied to artistic exhibitions, something long-term, something meaningful, something that lets him explore his creativity without judgment or pressure. And here's another piece of the puzzle. Many experts believe Japan represents something emotional for him, a kind of reset button, a safe place, a place where he can rebuild his career from the ground up without the noise and problems of Hollywood, a place where he can design a future that shows who he really is, not the expectations of an industry that once turned its back on him. But the whispers don't end there. There are rumors, very persistent ones, that Depp has already recorded an interview where he talks openly about why he feels so connected to Japan, why he chose this moment to return, and what this new chapter means for his personal and professional life. Some people say the interview is already edited and ready. Others say it's part of a bigger reveal. He's planning something connected to his long-term artistic vision. Whatever the truth is, one thing is clear. Something big is coming, and Japan is the emotional center of that comeback. Watching him in Tokyo, you can sense that he's not trying to reclaim his old throne. He's building a new one that doesn't rely on Hollywood, producers, or studio politics, one that isn't controlled by public opinion or media drama, one that grows from genuine human connection, quiet creativity, and the simple joy of being understood. That's why this Tokyo takeover feels so powerful. It wasn't loud. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't a PR spectacle. It was calm. It was human. It was healing. A man who was wounded found a place that helped him feel whole again. A man who was silenced found a city that let him speak without saying a word. A man who felt exiled found a place that welcomed him like he had never left. And that's the beauty of this moment. It's not about fame. It's not about controversy. It's not even about Hollywood. It's about a person who walked through fire, survived it, learned from it, and chose to rise again in a place that offered him peace instead of pressure. Now, here's where you come in. Do you think Johnny Depp's future belongs outside of Hollywood? Do you think Japan is the perfect place for him to rebuild, reinvent, and grow into this new version of himself? Or do you see him eventually returning to Hollywood, but on his own terms? I would really love to hear your thoughts because everyone seems to have a different perspective on this chapter of his life. Some fans believe he'll stay away from Hollywood forever. Others think he'll return once the industry realizes how much they lost.